There was a concern. I want to pivot to it while I'm thinking of it because it looms large over the Cowboys, who have a bye in Week 7. They play the Vikings Sunday Night Football Week 8. The Vikings on a bye as well, so both teams can focus on getting ready for each other. Dak Prescott, the quarterback of the Cowboys, final play, great. Hey, walk-off, touchdown, CeeDee Lamb, it's over. But word began to trickle out that there's a concern now because Dak Prescott suffered a right calf injury on that final play when he threw the touchdown to CeeDee Lamb, was assisted to the locker room by teammate Ezekiel Elliott, and he insisted after the game, I could have kept going. I'm fine, I promise you that. That's what he said. But this is one of those instances, Mike, and I'm not reporting anything at this point, but I'll share this. I tried to find out more last night about what's going on, and there are different types of doors that get slammed in your face sometimes. The door that was slammed in my face last night as I tried to find out more made me think there's more to find out. And it made me think this is circle the wagons, shut your mouth mode. Now, that's not nearly enough to pin to, well, right, he's in danger of missing the game in 2 weeks. But it's just one of those instinctive things that make me think we need to keep an eye on this because there's something about this that's different from the usual case because we're not going to get the kind of transparency I provided about the shower door I took to the face when it comes to Dak Prescott's right calf. I guarantee you that.
No, we are not. And I know he went to the presser in a walking boot. But, again, so much of that is preventative right after a game to try and keep any kind of a swelling down or motion of that joint area down. We're talking about a calf. If it is a calf, you're talking about a muscle. Is it the calf? Is it down to the Achilles? I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions about what it is. And as you mentioned with the bye week, luckily you have that extra week to see, how it can respond to things. So we're just going to have to wait and see. It looks like he's walking okay, and then he starts to limp more and more. So something's obviously hurting and or tightening up to the point where now this is 24/7 rehab time for Dak. If he's got to miss practice, so be it. We're at that point with him, and this is another offense that got over 500 yards again. I mean, they're one of the most balanced teams in the league without question, one of the best teams in the NFC. So we know, his body parts are very, very important to this team. They're not going to go anywhere without it. We're understanding Dak Prescott's value, and still it makes you look back on what was going on with the contract and he and Jerry Jones and just shake your head even more that Jerry kept paying everybody else, instead of Dak, and finally they got it worked out. But I think the best news here is you have the extra week. So, and again, as you mentioned, you're one of those guys that tries to find out, and you have your ways. And if doors are getting shut at your face, it's an eyebrow-raising moment, at least now. But we're 1 day removed from it, so it's one of those you're going to have to let that thing settle down and really kind of see where we are.
Yeah, and it all remains to be seen what the damage is, how bad it is. I remember after Christian McCaffrey had his hamstring strain, one of the talking points, especially with a calf or a hamstring, a soft tissue type of a strain, it needs to rest, it needs to heal. You have to know how to back off because McCaffrey apparently had some sort of a re-injury last week because he's practicing, and all of a sudden he's shut down and he's on IR 3 weeks after suffering the injury. You've got to give these things time to heal. If it is some sort of a soft tissue strain for Dak Prescott, he'll have 2 weeks. But we saw all the way back at Hard Knocks, Mike, this guy's determined. This guy is focused. And now that they're 5-1 and the arrow is pointing straight up for the Cowboys, he's not going to want to shut down. And it's going to take everything the Cowboys and the trainers and the doctors can do to get him to let it rest, let it heal, and hope that he can be ready to go in 13 days. And if not, so be it, because if you push it there, then the next game you may miss. Then the next game after that you may miss, and at some point you've got to take a step back and let it heal if it is some sort of a strain. It's something that's going to require some healing, clearly. The question is how much.
Yeah, listen, and that's why I always talk about soft tissue injuries real early in the season as opposed to later in the season. Later in the season, you kind of know where you stand. If you're already kind of a playoff team, you can just shut somebody down and not have to worry about bringing them back early. If it's early in the season, you don't know where you are just yet, so you're going to want to get back quicker. I can get it with Christian McCaffrey, in that team, the way Carolina started out and just how vanilla and mundane that offense is without him. Players want to play, so he wants to get back. So early on in the season, you rush it to get back so your team, if you're winning, you want to stay winning, or if you start losing, you don't fall into a bit of a hole. So you try and rush it, hence you re-injure it. So Dallas is in a pretty good situation right now. Listen, sitting there, especially in the division. They're way up in the division. So could they afford Dak to lose some time? Yes, but Dallas is already, and I know even though we're not halfway through the season, Dallas already has to be thinking about playoffs, and you think about home field as well. But you don't do that now at the risk of, a continuing injury. But I guarantee you that's what you think about. We'll talk about it in the AFC as well. Who's getting the wins, who controls where the playoffs are going through. Well, Dallas, we know Arizona's the only undefeated team left. Do we think they're going to go undefeated? We'll have to wait and see. Dallas with just the one loss. I mean, if you're going to make the playoffs, then you'd like to host some games, even though you don't have to host every game to get to the Super Bowl. But there are reasons during the season you can just say, we're shutting you down. We're in a good spot right now. Dallas is in a great spot division-wise, but they're thinking way past division-wise. And again, this will be the talk because we don't know what the injury is. But if there's any doubt at all, you got to wait on him. You got to wait because you're in position to be in the playoffs, and the whole thing is about how are you feeling at that point of the season. Where is your team health-wise?
And you make a great point, Mike, because, look, in the NFC East, they currently have as many wins as the other three teams combined. They should win this division. Even if Dak Prescott misses an extended period of time, they should be able to win this division. The question is, how much higher than 4 can you reasonably climb on the playoff tree? You've got the Packers, who are looking pretty damn good after somehow losing week 1, and that loss becomes more glaring as time passes, frankly, as the Packers keep rolling up victories. You've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers looking formidable at 5-1, and they hold the tiebreaker over the Cowboys. And you've got the Cardinals at 6-0 and the Rams at 5-1, who stomped the Giants yesterday. Yeah. So even with Prescott wire to wire, the top of the NFC is so good, you may not be looking at much higher than 4. So the point is even more valid. You want Prescott to be 100% when January rolls around. And if that means conceding the 1, 2, and 3 seed, so be it. You got to be ready for the 5 seed because the 5 seed is going to be the Cardinals or the Rams, and they're going to be a tough out in the wild card round. Probably that Monday night game, massive primetime audience, although maybe Sunday night. But the Cowboys are going to be hosting a game, and they're going to draw a tough opponent in January.
Yeah, they are. And the bottom line is no matter what you're seeded, you're not winning without Dak, right? I mean, the Cowboys look like one of the best teams in the NFL. And, man, you just mentioned the teams. The top of the NFC is amazing because there's more than a few teams. But you're going nowhere without Dak. Nowhere. So and again, this is what's going to happen today because we don't know the injury. He could be fine by Thursday. We have no idea and be back to a regular practice routine, but we don't know. But just this general conversation of when you need him, at the end of it all, whether you're the last seed or the first seed, you're going nowhere without Dak Prescott as your quarterback. So you better make damn sure he's 100% before he steps back on that field.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.